what an accomplishment. Tell us about this project and the day and your experience with this whole event.
This is a record I started about 5 years ago. And being that my main job is composing for TV and film, I would whittle away at the material off and on for the last 5 years. And about 10 years ago, I started working with John Ashton Thomas, the arranger, conductor for film. And he worked with me on a couple films, and I wanted him to be involved in this project to bring more of an orchestral element, or to sort of help do all the things he would do in the movies with me, but do it with my music, in the context of my music. So I'd write bits and pieces of stuff, or write songs, send it to him, and he would work on them, and we'd do some back and forth. And worked with another arranger, his name is Bruce Fowler, who was in Frank Zappa's band, and he does a lot of orchestrating for Hans Zimmer. So it's essentially, this is my fourth record, and it's somewhat similar, instrumental guitar oriented music, I guess, but it's a bit more than that. But wanted to bring my experience of working with orchestras, which what I've been doing much more over the past 15 years working in films. I wanted to bring more of that element. And that's why we're here at Abbey Road, to record orchestra. And that's what we did today.
How do you feel about the orchestra here today and John Ashton Thomas's efforts in doing the orchestral work and working with the engineers? And
working here at Abbey Road was something I've been wanting to do for a long, long time. And the nature of the music required a very experienced and qualified and very good players, because the music is complicated. There's multiple meters and tempo changes and fast lines, and so it really required a very accomplished orchestra. And the two main choices are London or Los Angeles. But John Ashton Thomas lives here and has done a lot of work here at Abbey Road. So it made sense to work at a place where he knows the players, he knows the studio, and it just made the most sense to do it here. Well, I guess I could talk a little bit about what the music is. The music is really a no-holds-barred kind of approach to writing music. What I do for a living requires parameters. You're working with stories, and you're working with genre limitations, so to speak. But when I do my own music, I just let whatever happen. And that's kind of what this music is. It's not conceptually any one style. It's got rock, it's got jazz, it's got classical. It has all kinds of elements all together. And I just let myself be completely free, so the opposite of working with parameters of any other project. And so it's kind of a combination of all those things.
And this was done in the midst of a really busy work schedule for you. I mean, over the last 5 years, you've been working on a lot of. Talk about that. I mean, trying to fit this in with all the other things you've got going on.
Yeah, it was just in between movies and film and TV. But it's something I always want to keep going. This will be my fourth solo record, but it'll be 10 years since I've done the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more of an indication of how busy I've been. Because usually if I don't have anything else going on, I'm working on my own music.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you want to talk about some of the other musicians that are on the project?
Yeah, so I've got, as well as working with John, who is an amazing orchestrator. Work with John Powell and a bunch of different people. Did the last Black Panther and then How You Train Your Dragon movies and just tons of stuff. One of the Star Wars movies, the most recent Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm.
One of them he's done. He's an orchestrator and conductor. I've got there's a couple different drummers on it. One drummer is Vinny Caliuta, who's a great, amazing drummer, and a couple other drummers. I've got Donald Barrett plays drums on it, and another gentleman named Tamir Barzilay. And Tim LaFave is a great bass player. He's on it. He played on Black Star, David Bowie's last record, from New York. Now he lives in Los Angeles. Does a lot of sessions. A guy named Sam Wilkes, a young guy who plays in this band Nowhere. Jeff Babco plays some keys on it. Great keyboard player out of Los Angeles. But most of it is usually with my records I have a lot more players, but the orchestra took up that space.
Sure.
There's a lot more of an orchestral element. So some songs are just guitar and orchestra. Some songs in particular just guitar and orchestra. That's about it as far as the players.
That's great. Well, Charlie Bicharat.
Oh, Charlie Bicharat, thank you. Charlie
Yeah.
Bicharat is a great violinist, a session player, plays on lots of film and TV projects in Los Angeles. Great player.
And saxophone.
Oh,
sorry. I interrupted you.
I've got a couple other. Yeah, I've got Katisse Buckingham, who's an incredible flautist, flutist, and sax player. He has worked with Herbie Hancock, and he's remarkable. And Ron Jubila on tenor sax, and Jamie Horvath on trumpet. Those are the key players.
So now that you've done this, what's the next project?
Oh, Toss Panos on drums.
Toss Panos. Okay, sorry.
On drums and Dan Lutz on bass. Played Lutz on the track. I moved to Los Angeles 22 years ago to play with great players and to work with great players and work with people like John Ashton Thomas that elevate the things that I do to another level. You can write something for another player, but it's going to sound as good as that player is. So when I start an orchestration for one of my first initial arrangement, you take it to a guy like John. He takes it to a completely other level. And so if you have a record where each person in it that you work with is an expert, they feel that it takes what you do and takes it to another level. So that's how I feel about the music. It ends up being so much more than I would ever think of because of the involvement of the other people.
Synergy that's created as a result. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And as a musician, it's always trying to be involved in things that are inspiring, being connected to projects that inspire me, mostly because you do your best work when you're inspired. So I'm always after things that are fulfilling in that way, in a creative way. And certainly with the music, that's a situation where I have that control completely, where you might not working for someone else providing the service as a composer would. I mean, there's elements of expressing yourself for sure, and great opportunities. I mean, film work afforded me the opportunities to work with orchestras. I never had that. I was never in a room with 70 players playing my music, but composing for film allowed that, and that really inspired me to dig deeper in it, and in the case of this record, provide more of that element within my own music. Big that I'm doing well in my field, and that I don't have to be doing this. I don't have to be putting all this, because this is at this point all funded by myself. I don't have to be doing this, so why am I doing it? You're working, you're paying your bills. Why are you actually spending your own money to do this? What's the main purpose? And that would be, I guess I touched on that earlier, is to keep the balance between doing the things in music or for other people or other people's visions, and doing things that are solely my vision. It's important for me to keep that balance of that. And so that's why I do it.